Section 1.3, Earning and Income. So we have some definitions of different types of work. We have wages, which are usually based on, well, they are always based on an hourly rate with the possibility of overtime. We have salary, which is usually calculated either somewhere between weekly and monthly or even per year, and there's very rarely overtime included in that kind of thing. Commission, which is a percentage of sales, and sometimes with commission there's what's called a retainer, which, as it might sound, is designed to retain the staff, because 100% commission-based pay is pretty rough. And then we have piece of work, which is just a pay per success or per whatever work is done. So in worked example 9, we have Sim, who is employed by a photographic studio. Sim's job is covered by an award that states he must be paid a standard hourly rate of $15.80 for a standard 38-hour Monday to Friday week. On Saturday he's paid time and a half, 1.5 times the standard rate, for the first 3 hours and then double time thereafter. For any one particular week, Sim worked 4.5 hours on Saturday in addition to his standard hours. So how much money did he earn in the week? Alright, so pretty straightforward. We calculate, well, we know he did 38 hours because he's done overtime. Then he did an additional 4.5 hours. So 3 of those hours would fall under the time and a half rate. And exactly 1.5 hours would fall under the double time rate, because he did 4.5 hours total. So we just calculate them separately. We first, it's much easier to just, to do that. So 38 hours times $15.80 works out $600.40. And then the 3 hours times the same rate times time and a half, which is 1.5. Because they're all commutive, because multiplication is commutive, you can just do it in the same calculation. And equals $71.10, and then similarly for the double time down the bottom. So 1.5 times $15.80 times 2, which represents the double time, and this represents how many hours he did. Which was $47.40. And then adding it all up, we get to $718.90. On worked example 10, we have an example of a commission-based pay with a retainer. So the example is Lina works as a real estate agent. She receives a retainer of $450 a fortnight plus a commission of 2.3% of the value of the property she sells. How much does Lina earn in a fortnight in which she sells a house for $340,000, which was obviously not in Sydney because you can't get anything for $340,000. So 2.3% times 340,000. So to convert that percentage into something we can use in our calculators, unless you want to use the percentage button, which is just heresy in my opinion. But we've got 0.023, which is 2.3%, times the 340,000, gives us the $7,820. But her total pay is made up not only of commission but also the retainer. So those have to come into play. So the commission plus the retainer equals our $7,820 plus $450, so $8,270 for the fortnight, which is nothing to laugh at. Worked example 11. This is an example of piece of work type of pays. We have Emma, who is employed sewing dresses. She's only paid $7.50 per dress, and she can do 42 dresses per week. Calculate her weekly income. Pretty straightforward. It's just, how many dresses she can make multiplied by how much she gets per dress. This is really very simple maths, which is fine, which is nice for a change. And it gives us our total of $315 for the week. So obviously she won't be eating that week because you can't survive off $315 a week. I believe that's it. Okay, yes, so now we'll do the first 3 questions in 1.3, Earning and Income. So for question 1, Jake works in a clothing store. Under his award rate, he gets $14.70 an hour per hour for any standard 38-hour week. Time and a half for the first 2 hours on Saturday and double time for any hours after that. How much will he receive if he works a standard week and then 1.5 hours on Saturday? Feel free to pause and read over this if you want to in more detail. So there's 3 calculations there. How much he's getting for his standard work week, which is the 38 hours, and then of course how much he's getting for the time and a half overtime, and then the double time overtime, which works out in as 2 and 3 hours. So the first section, 38 hours times $14.70, which is $558.60. And then the first bit of overtime, 2 hours times $14.70 times 1.5, because of the time and a half. It's called a penalty, which is it's a penalty for the workplace, but a bonus for the worker. Gives us $44.10, and then interestingly enough, the 3 hours at that pay rate at double time works out to be double that, which doesn't actually make sense. I think I might have made a calculation error there. I will check. It makes sense. He only worked 1 hour more, but got paid double because of the increased hourly rate. So, total of $690.90. Adding up is the amount he got for the standard work week plus all the overtimes, and gives us this amount. Coolios. That's not an eraser. So, now question 2. We have Brian works as a second-hand car salesperson. He's paid a retainer of $1,800, and he gets paid for 1.5% for every car he sells. So he sold a Commodore for $28,000, a Captiva for $32,200, and a Cruise for $17,000 and $600 on there as well. How much will he be paid? So we've got 1.5% again times these three amounts. Now you can just add up these amounts all separately, but it's just, yeah, you can do that. Multiplying 1.5%, which is 0.015, into the brackets gives us $1,167. And adding that to the retainer amount gives us our total of $2,967 for the week. Lastly, question 3, we have a semi-trailer driver. He's paid $12.75 per ton of wood, and he delivers 120 tons. How much will he be paid? Well, pretty simple. We've got 120 tons, and he gets paid $12.75 per ton. So we're going to multiply those together, and that is going to give us our amount for the... Actually, it doesn't give us a time period, so we don't know what he's getting a week. We just know how much he's getting paid for 120 tons, which is $1,370. $1,530, I should say. Don't know where I got that number from. These things happen. And that is it for this section.